welcome to another episode of the Dibbly Dobblers Cricket Podcast. As always, I'm your main host, Callum, and as always, I'm joined by director, producer. I can't call him Dinner Lady anymore because he doesn't like me in his house anymore, apparently. Andrew, how's it going, Andrew?
It was your decision not to come here today. So
No, it's because I thought
put
we'd
that on
record
me.
earlier, and I wasn't feeling very well, but it's
Here
10
we are at
o'clock.
10
So
o'clock in the evening, and we're only just starting. Yeah, I am not bad, Callum. How are you?
one of these days, we'll be back. The band will be back together.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, you over your injuries?
No, I managed to break my toe while I was on holiday, so that was good. So thankfully, it doesn't seem to be causing me too much bother. And kindly, the competitions committee have us not playing this Saturday either, which helps me have a little bit more time to get over it. So
Yeah,
it kind of came around at a good point.
yeah, and it wouldn't stop you playing anyway, would it? To be fair.
Probably not, to be fair. I'd just get in a lot of trouble. But
It's what? It's your left foot, isn't it?
so it's not my planting foot. It's fine.
Yeah, and it's not your front foot when you're batting either, so you're
Well,
fine.
but I'm
Yeah,
not one of these weirdos who does it the other way around or anything.
yeah,
So
no,
it's
so you're fine. Nothing to worry about.
I've still not tested the bruised bones on my right foot yet, though, to be fair. So I don't know how that's going to go. I think I might need to go for a wee jog or something just to test it out. But
Aye.
I'll just take loads of painkillers. It'll all be fine. All be good.
Anyway, yeah, domestic heavy episode this week, isn't it? We're going to go in depth on the SPCU a little bit.
We are.
So we're not just going to talk about the top two divisions as we usually do, but we got a message on Twitter from Callum Glasgow asking us to have a look at Div 1 and Div 2. So this is for you. We're going to look at Div 1 and Div 2. And on that note, let's go straight into the EPL.
Exactly, yeah, that's screwed. They can go. We've got a 3-minute segment at the end. That'll deal with that. And that
we will jump
2.5 minutes
straight
of that, 2.5 minutes of that's talking about my season bowling stats so far. So it's all good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it genuinely will be though, won't it?
Oh, mate, I'm waiting on my call up, honestly.
Right. So we've actually got results graphics and things and everything now. So we're going to talk
I'm
about.
getting off a professional, Andrew. It's getting off a professional.
Indeed. Right. So 4 SPCU teams in action in the Eastern Premier League this weekend past. Forfarshire were away to Stewart's Melville. Arbroath hosted Carlton. And Falkland hosted Stonywood Dice. So we'll bring up the results, and Callum, you can talk us through them.
So first game we had Stu Mel posted 226 for 9 off of their 50. It was an innings that had quite a few starts in it, actually, as you can kind of see from the scores there. Kind of put anything 40 or above is kind of included in this, with the exception of the Falkland one later on. But yes, they had a lot of starts, but they just lacked somebody to be able to kick on. And to be honest, Forfarshire, I was going to say Forfarshire, it was really Craig Wallace. It was very much, he just decided that he was going to. Actually, it was only just over a running ball, which I don't know what he was doing. He was obviously sore body or something.
Yeah, quite sedate and controlled from him, wasn't it? Yeah, 115 off 111 deliveries, I think it was.
Yep.
But yeah, Craig Wallace has been in absolutely superb form with the bat this season, and that continued on Saturday.
Yep. So again, carried them to victory. Fairly comfortable without being a hammering. Comfortable victory. Arbroath, again suffered a defeat to Carlton. Suffered a defeat, and it was to Carlton. Overseas player is helping, but it's still just not getting them over the line. Again, they weren't absolutely destroyed, but it just came up short. And I mean, we'll look at the table once we've gone through these results, but yeah, it's not looking great. But on the Carlton side, we had Shuja Khan scored a 65, who has obviously appeared on our show before. So I
Indeed, he
suppose
was our first guest, wasn't he?
very first guest.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird there. We've now totally become niche to our area, but our first guest was from Edinburgh. But anyway, that's fine.
Ah, well.
And then the third tie, that's the biggie. Falkland overcame Stonywood Dice 2-4-3 for 9 off their 50. And to be honest, it looked like they were going to lose that game. I can't remember what exactly they were on, but I think they were Stonywood Dice were about 226 for 6 or something in that neck of the woods. And it was Chambers just I think it was fairly expensive. Like I think he was only 4 and a bit overs for his 31. But talk about clutch wicket taking. I mean, it was just I think he takes Stander. Then I think Jack Henderson took 1 and he took the final 2, and it's just I mean what that probably secures them in the league.
You would think so. They've now got a decent margin. What have they? They've got 2 wins and a tie.
Yeah, well, bring up the league table and we can look at it.
Well, yeah, let's do that.
Come on. You're meant to be the director and producer.
I mean, I was still talking about the game, but we'll get there. I suppose the only point is that Stonywood's innings was built around 2 big performances. Jan Sander with 111, Walmeren's with, what was it, 55 that I just read there. Whereas the Falkland innings was an innings of lots of small contributions. So the highest score was Jack Henderson with 51.
Yeah, and to be fair, their lower order sort of closed out the innings quite well. May was, I can't remember what his 36 was off. I think Cameron Nelly scored a sort of 17, something in the high teens, but a good strike rate. So, and that was key to the victory, really. I mean, it wasn't, Stonywood Dice's top order definitely had the better of Falklands, but in the end, they took the key wickets at the key times and, got them over the line. So,
so let's bring up that league table then. So the highest placed side in our region is Forfarshire, who are sitting in 4th position. Stonywood Dice sitting in 6th. They've lost a little bit of ground there. They've dropped a position. And then Falkland in 9th and Arbroath rooted to the bottom, yet to win a game. As I said, Falkland 2 victories and a tie. They've got a substantial now gap from Arbroath. How many games have we got left? So we've had 11 rounds. Or what only has Stu Mel had anything? No, we have had 11 rounds, haven't we?
Yeah, we've had 11 rounds. They're the only
7 left.
They completed it at the start. So so 7 to go. I mean, 3 victories from Arbroath potentially does overcome it, but you just kind of struggle to see who the 3 victories are against. So they I think as a club they have the capabilities there. They've got guys that are capable of scoring runs. They've got former internationalists in their side. With Parker and Petrie and and that does seem to be one of the slight issues. They're not a side that have put their best 11 out probably week in, week out. Although Falkland could also make that argument as well. I think I sort of said this before when we touched on it. I think they look like they need a strike bowler up to open out the innings, and I just don't think they have that. And I hope I don't offend Arbroath bowlers by saying that too much, but I think that's what they're lacking, and I don't know if they can call someone up out the past. I don't know what Calvin Burnett's up to these days or whatever, but you kind of look at that Carlton game. They weren't not at the races at all in it. They were there or thereabout, and they just probably lack 1 or 2 players But I
Yeah,
think right now I don't see anything other than Arbroath ending up in the NEC next year, which would be a massive shock.
yeah.
Well,
So I suppose on the subject of the NEC, let's jump into the results. So we've got these split over 2 slides. So here's our first one. Aberdeenshire marched on with a rather comprehensive victory against Arbroath's second 11. 334 for 8, played 61 all out. Dean Forrester had a little bit of a day, didn't he?
oh, aye. I mean,
158 off 80 something
88
balls.
balls.
88 balls, yeah.
88
So
balls. Yeah.
just shy of a strike rate of 200. And as if that wasn't enough, I'll just knock over 4 of the wickets as well. So 4 for 30 as well. Yeah, quite a performance from him.
Yeah, Dean Forrester beats Arbroath. That's kind of what that reads as.
Yeah, pretty much. Didn't really need anyone else.
Nah.
Some would say this next one was an upset. Others might not. With Forfarshire succumbing to Gordonians.
I wouldn't say it was an upset. I might have made the other prediction. That doesn't make it a full-on upset. I mean, I literally had my wife pick between 2 hands to decide who I was picking on this game. I would say the margin of victory is probably the more surprising element to this game. But
Yeah, I would say so. So Gordonians 306 for 6. Forfarshire 189 all out. And yeah, it was another very pretty one-sided game there.
I would actually say, as much as I'm saying that the margin of victory, also most of that came from Forfarshire's lower order as well. I'm sure somebody else got like either a 30 or a high 20 or something. I mean, to be honest, if their tail hadn't wagged, it was going to be an embarrassing day at the office for Forfarshire. So,
Yeah.
Forfarshire twos, I suppose we should be making clear. But yeah, but I think the one thing is shows the value of a big score though as well. The 94 really lifts you up into that big echelons rather than we've seen a few performances where Forfarshire got a couple of starts, but they need that other performer with the big total.
Yeah. And then the other juggernaut in the region, Meagle, 221 for 8, beat Strathmore 165 all out. Strathmore really feeling the effects of Tian Brits being missing through that knee injury. Yeah, they're really struggling without him in the side.
Yeah, and but we kind of saw that at the start of the year. They weren't doing much until he came around. So
Yep. So we'll have a look then at the other 2 games as well. Perth Ducat beat Kinloch 270 for 8, played 172 all out. Another one not particularly close, 98 runs, the margin of victory. Few decent performances. I mean, 3 half centuries in the Ducat innings is not something we've seen from them very often over the last few years, really. So from them, they'll be really happy with that.
yeah, I mean, Ali seems to be a big step up because actually Usman's getting that support. I know Tass has obviously got a 55 there as well, but they now seem to have 2 batsmen who are quite consistently performing for them. And they've always had a decent bowling attack. So Cash really ripped apart their middle order for Kinloch, which probably was a big thing, killed the chase. So
Yeah, and Cash actually seems to be quite effective with the ball at the moment, which I'm not going to lie, is something that surprised me a bit, but it's yeah.
Oh, didn't you'll get him talking about his Scottish Cup fifer and all that. You didn't need to bring that. Get him talking about that.
Yeah, we'll get him on the show just to talk about it because he would quite happily.
Absolutely.
And then the final one, little bit of a closer game. So Fruki obviously missing Safi and Sharif. Scotland played on Sunday, so he was absent for them this weekend. They were bowled out for 201, and Huntley chased it down with 3 wickets to spare. Frank Summers 62 not out off 35, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
And while
it's
chaos was reigning around him as well.
It was like Fruki was just on top of them, and then he was just like, I'm just batter the hell out of the ball and carried them over the line. Just as a reminder to those looking at the graphics, it is only 45 overs that are played in the NEC. So, I mean, it was down to kind of a few balls left. But yeah, yet again, without Safi, Fruki can't perform.
Yeah, it's something we've seen regularly this season. Obviously, he'll be missing for them again this weekend ahead, with Scotland still playing. He played a very good innings today as we record. Him and Chris Greaves managed to get Scotland over the line. Quite an impressive run chase, which was good to see. So, NEC table, let's have a look. With Aberdeenshire having had their week off this week, they've now played the same games as Meagle. So they've both got that 8 played, 7 won, and 1 loss. Aberdeenshire have got 1 extra bonus point, so just lead the way. Meagle have their week off this week ahead, so Aberdeenshire will be looking to restore that 1 game advantage that they had up to this week. Huntley in 3rd, and then Fruki in 4th. And Fruki now 2 games behind Huntley, albeit with a game in hand.
Well, they're about to play Aberdeenshire, and without going into the prediction section already, I think that'll be 4. They'll have a split record of 4-4 by the time that happens, because I think they'll get battered. So I think you'll probably find, for me, that the group, they'll get swallowed back into the group, which, yeah, it's been quite a tight mid-table group. So, yeah, but I mean, Gordonians are picking up a head of steam. We spoke about the fact that Ducat have actually got a few performers with a bat now. Could be, but no one's catching the 2 at the top. Let's be honest. It's not happening.
I think that's fairly set. That the top 2 are going to fight it out between them. They don't play each other again. So really, Meagle are relying on Aberdeenshire slipping up at some point in order to get them back into the race. That's the only way that Meagle can get back on top.
Yeah, I think Fruki will be disappointed that they don't have Safi to play Aberdeenshire on Saturday, but Meagle will also be disappointed that Fruki don't have Safi, because you do look at it, Fruki with Safi in it would have been capable of potentially causing an upset, and it was probably one of the few that were left to banana skins for Aberdeenshire. So, I suspect it will remain those 2. And obviously, with an extra game in hand, that loss becomes less painful for them than it does with Meagle. So,
and then as we go down, actually that tight midfield, Gordonians, Ducat, Forfarshire, all fairly tightly packed. In fact, in Fruki as well. There's only sort of 6 and a bit % between those 4 clubs in terms of the record. Then small gap to Strathmore. Arbroath United sitting in 9th. Now, obviously, with their first team looking very likely to come down, it kind of doesn't really matter where their second team finish, because they will unfortunately see relegation just by virtue of their ones coming down into the league. But yeah, then we've got a fight for the spaces below that, Kinloch have got a little bit of an advantage over Stonywood Dice 2s and Dundee High School. Do you think Stonywood Dice or Dundee High can pick up anything to get them back up close to Kinloch?
No, I don't think so. I think what you're probably looking at for next year is that the chances are there's probably 3 teams dropping out that league. Depends on what the playoff for promotion at the EPL does. But you're probably looking at a bit of a dogfight between Kinloch and the two Forfar-based clubs, Kinloch and Strathmore. You would imagine if Strathmore will be flying in surgeons to work on Tian Brits or whatever's wrong with him because and to be honest, I think if they get Brits back, Kinloch will be relying on other results, I think, to ensure their survival in the NEC because I think they'll probably get cut adrift.
Yeah, because if we do see Arbroath relegated and the winner of the league doesn't go up, then it would be Arbroath 2s plus 3 others that we would be looking at going down. Now, if the top team do then go up, that would spare that 10th place team. But yeah, it is looking like a really tough end for those sides.
Yeah, although obviously we're going to come on to the next part when we do touch on the Division 1 and 2. There is also a chance that you could have 2 coming up, which would also force another team down. I think there's does that not enforce if you have 2 promoted teams? There's always been a bit of an assumption
entitled to promotion, which interesting.
I would assume Largo, who would be the likely second team without spoiler alerting the next bit. So you could easily have 4 teams going down here. So
yeah, potentially
could have some interesting ties ahead.
Indeed. Right. Sunday then, there was another decent chunk of cricket played. So it was the Cali Region Cricket Scotland T20 Finals Day, played at Mannifield. This was rearranged after it being washed out the weekend before. I'll bring the results up for that one. So Stonywood Dice played Arbroath in the first semi-final. Arbroath won that very convincingly, 165 for 7 from their 20 overs, and then they bowled Stonywood Dice out for 75. Very convincing stuff. So a 63 not out from McLean was the biggest contribution to the Arbroath batting card, and their pro Willem Loeb with 3 for 16 on the bowling side. Next one, Aberdeenshire, the host team, lost to Forfarshire. Forfarshire posted 220 for 6. Craig Wallace with another big innings, 79 off, not very many. Rory Johnson with 77 as well. So 2 big innings from their openers. Got them off to a very fast start. At one point, I was thinking, is 300 on from them here? Because I think they brought up 100 in the 7th over?
Yeah, I mean, if Wallace had batted the majority or, if he'd batted deep, 300 was on.
Yeah, because I think he got out for that 79 in the 10th over or something like that.
That was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a very, very brisk innings. In the reply, Aberdeenshire were bowled out for 96. Couple of starts for Lewis Monroe and Deanne Forrester, both getting out in the 20s. Jack Hogarth with 3 for 11 from his 4 overs. Wicket taking and very economical, although Carnegie's 2 for 11 and Duncan's 2 for 12 are hardly expensive, are they?
No, the very sort of professional victory, you could say, from Forfarshire. Yeah. Just they cleaned up well.
Yeah. And then that meant that it was Arbroath against Forfarshire, the big game in the region, I suppose, or the big rivalry in the region. Arbroath made 154 for 9 from their 20, with Lube carrying the Arbroath batting on his back. 102 of the 154 coming from his bat. Hogarth again 3 for 22. So across finals day he had figures of 6 for 33 across the two games from 8 overs, which is mightily impressive. Scott Cameron with 2 from 12. Did he bowl his full 4?
I think he did, yeah. I mean, he was very economical. He certainly bowled 3, which, I mean, that's still very economical in itself. But yeah, he was impressive and I think he got the first 2, or he kicked it off well with strike bowling at the top.
Yeah. And then in the chase, Craig Wallace another 37 runs, which is not very many by his standards. But Jack O'Neill was the one to see it home with a 59 not out. Again, with wickets falling a little bit at the other end, it was a very good performance from him to see it home.
Yeah, and he's had a lot of solid performances for Forfarshire this year. Not, particularly with the insane form that Wallace has been on, he's kind of slipped, to the side a wee bit. But in other seasons, for other clubs, he would easily be the standout player of the year. So yeah, and fair play to him. He stood up when it counted most in a final. So
yeah, I think. I mean, we'll come on to Team of the Week, and I suppose a little spoiler on that is that I think he was probably our 12th man for the 3rd or 4th time this season. He's always put in Team of the Week worthy performances that don't quite make the cut. Which,
well, we have a few. We have had a few occasions where he has actually almost been, but in fact, I think twice he has been actually posted on Twitter before we've taken the team down and changed it. So
yes, twice.
So yeah, a bit unlucky, but yeah, stood up when you need guys to stand up when you need them most, and that's certainly what he did.
Yeah,
in a final. So
indeed. So Forfarshire progress to the national T20 finals day again, as they tend to do most years from this region. Best of luck to them when that comes round. The other game of note on Sunday, or were you going to? You look like you were going to say something else on T20.
No, I'm just going to go and look because the Masterton final's actually on as well. It's probably finished.
I would hope, so unless they've got floodlights.
Aye, well, you'd hope so. But so while you were talking, I was just going to go and see who actually won that, see who they were up against.
I've got
so just you carry on
in my face. So so that'll give everyone that's watching on YouTube a laugh as I occasionally try and swat this fly that is doing my head in. So the other game played on Sunday then was Meagle's game against Alvanley in the Village Cup. Alvanley were runners-up last year, playing in that Lord's final and missing out last September. Meagle bowled first, restricted Alvanley to 187 for 9 off their 40 overs. You and I discussed this kind of about that time and thought Meagle will probably back themselves to chase that. I thought they'd done a decent job in restricting them to what seemed a reasonable total. But unfortunately for Meagle, the chase just never materialised. Lots of wickets lost early, and they were bowled out for 65 from 23 overs.
Yeah, I think there was some comments I saw, and actually, to be fair, the scores from their game in the NEC on Saturday would perhaps suggest that, and I'm assuming it was maybe the same wicket, it was quite a tired-looking wicket. I mean, they only scored 220-odd on Saturday, which, by what they've been posting this year, was a relatively low total. Don't get me wrong, most clubs would be happy to break 200, but for the standards they've been setting, so while, on the surface of what's happened this year, that probably looked okay, I think it was maybe a bit too many. They also bowled 24 wides in that 187, which I think they will be looking at themselves around. That's a hell of a lot for a team that in the end of last year were playing in the EPL and are, co-leading the way in the NEC this year. I think they would be expecting much higher standards from themselves than allowing 24 wides to be conceded. Because, the top scorer was 43. You'd have thought they'd done a pretty good job, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Yeah. So it's Team of the Week time, eventually. Here we go.
I know, we need less fixtures. If we could start having cup competitions, that would be excellent.
Yeah, that's taken a while to get through. I expected it to be quicker. But anyway, Team of the Week. It will be to the surprise of absolutely no one that in that first spot is Craig Wallace for his 115 not out, then his 79 and a wee 37 off only 23 balls in the last one as well. Shazib Saeed of Meagle, 92 not out from 127 and 2 for 29 off 9 against Strathmore on Saturday. And he did take 3 for 34 from 7 overs in that Village Cup defeat. It's a very strong performance from him as well. Addy Hegde of Gordonians, 94 against Forfeiture 2. Then Deanne Forrester for his 158 from 88 and 4 for 30 from 7 against Arbroath 2s. Willem Loeb for 3 different performances in that he had 51 against Carlton, and then he performed with the ball against Stonywood Dice with that 3 for 16, and then back with the bat in that T20 final with 102 off 50 deliveries against Forfarshire. Jan Stander, 111 from 127, and a run out against Falkland, that run out being of Harsha as well. So that was a big wicket.
Big run out.
Big run out to get. Jack O'Neill, I thought we'd had him as 12th man. No, he obviously made the grade just.
No. We brought him back in.
We did bring him back.
We felt that because he made the score. We thought at one point we had him, but I think match-winning performance in the final is what kind of saw him over the line. Yeah,
we've had about 4 different iterations of the Team of the Week this week because it was a very tough one to get to the bottom of.
I mean, you've got like Usman at Ducat scored the 90 odd and like got binned off, there. And there's a couple of forfers that missed out and things. So it's tough one.
So 59 not out of 41 to bring that final home. Frank Summers for that ridiculous 62 not out of 35 to see Huntley home against Fruki in the last over. Cash Khalil 4 for 30 off 9 against Kinloch. Aklak Bashir of Gordonians 4 for 40 off 9 against Forfeiture 2s, and then Jack Hogarth for that combined 6 for 33 on T20 finals day sees out the Team of the Week.
I swear both Craig Wallace and Jack Hogarth just like live in our Team of the Week. It kind of feels like, but
they do a little bit, don't they? They are there very, very regularly. It has to be said. Some very strong Player of the Week contentions. I mean, you look in the top 5, and there's 4 guys who've had bat and ball have had good innings and standout performances. Jack Hogarth at the finals day with the ball. Frank Summers, it's a 62 not out, but I just think that was a phenomenal knock against Brookie, especially in the situation it was in. I genuinely think there's probably 6 or 7 ones that on another week could have won Player of the Week. I think at the end it came down to a choice between 2. And the 2 that stood out were Deanne Forrester of Aberdeenshire, 158 off 88, and then picking up 4 for as well. It's just a really impressive all-round performance. Or Craig Wallace for his, 200 and it's the thick end of 250 runs over the course of a weekend. And 2 different styles of innings as well, because he's paced a chase to perfection on Saturday, and then he has just obliterated the bowling attacks on Sunday. So it came down to a choice between them, and I think just because it was performances across 3 different games and the different styles as well, for the first time this season, which is surprising,
Yeah,
Craig
it's very
Wallace
surprising.
is our player of the week.
And I think actually the name of it is why he has got it, because it's player of the week. It's not
Yeah.
performance of the week, it's player of the week, as you kind of
Yeah.
say. And yeah, I think Forrester had the individual performance, but Craig had the bigger week in total.
Yeah, indeed. Right, let's move on to our standard of cricket, Callum.
Oh, I can talk about my bowling.
You can talk
Yes.
about your bowling. Right, so SPCU Division 1. For those of you that do not know, Callum and I play for Breadalbane in Division 1. And, well, we'll bring up the table and see how we're doing and how everyone else is doing.
Let's bring it up.
Let's bring up the table. So we're sitting in 4th place at the moment, with 5 losses and 4 wins from our 9. It's been a bit of a mixed bag, I have to say, for us. But let's go through who's sitting where. So Perth Ducat 2s are leading the way. They've got 8 wins and 2 losses from their 10 games, which is identical to 3rd place Falkland in terms of 8 wins and 2 losses. Largo managed to sneak in between them with 6 wins and 2 losses from their 8 games. I guess they've picked up more bonus points in the losses than the other
I'm,
2.
ass- I'm I'm assuming so. I'm not 100% sure how much faith I have in these SPCU live tables, but I'm hoping they're right. But
Yeah.
I have just nabbed them off. I wasn't doing a graphic for a one-off, but yeah, they're the standout 3 in the league. We've played everyone now,
Yep.
and they're clearly the 3, you know, clearly the 3 best and deepest squads, I would say as well.
Yeah, I would agree. We've got Falkland up next, which that'll be fun for us. Down the bottom end of the table, so obviously Breadalbane in 4th, and then as we go into the bottom half, Meagles 2nd 11 sitting in 5th, with 3 victories and 6 losses. Rossi Priory in 6th with a victory more and a loss less than Meagle. I suppose they will have had a 1 no bonus point game, which won't
Uh,
have helped them.
Getting bowled out for 19 doesn't tend to help things.
Yeah. How many of them did you take? What were your figures that
4.
day? 4 for 6. Yeah. 4 for 6.
I still not managed to get a 5 for all year, but it's all right. Don't worry.
And then the bottom 2 quite close. Glenrothes and Dundee High School, former pupils, 11. Both with 2 victories. Glenrothes' latest victory came against ourselves on Saturday. We'll not talk about that.
I wasn't playing. Just so I'm passing the buck on that one, I'm afraid.
I was, and the less said about my performance, the better.
It's quite a nice picture on Breadalbane's social media of you just trudging off, Andrew.
I noticed Mark Bridgman taking that photograph as I walked off, and I thought that's going to end up on social media. And I was not in the mood for that at that point, I have to say. It was absolutely baking hot. I'd just got out for, I think I made 5. It's what I usually do. I seem to hit 1 for 4 and then get out the next ball. I played a social game last night. I did exactly the same thing. Hit 1 for 4 and then get out next ball. I am just a tail ender that gets too excited with himself. Anyway, go on, be cheeky.
No.
Yeah, and then Dundee High have picked up a couple of victories.
It helps when you play your ones in the division below, but that's all right.
It does, doesn't it?
It's good that.
Really interesting tactic from them, particularly against Glenrothes, when their first 11 team was scheduled to play away at Stonywood Dice. It was rained off, and so they just sent their ones to play their twos game, which really is in the spirit of the competition, isn't it?
Yeah, they had to pop at me for hitting a junior player for some runs, but I would suggest that I know which one's the worst of offences out of those. But anyway, we'll not drag that point on too long after.
Anyway, so I suppose you just want to speak about your bowling. Are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to talk about that.
Are you actually Are you still the leader?
Currently, there are 3 bowlers with 16 wickets, but my average is about half the other 2. So,
you're in for the bowling trophy this year. You're certainly in.
16 wickets at 7, average of 7. Economy of 2.13.
Yeah, I had just got my average under 20 before Saturday. It's now up towards 40. It's not showing on the stats yet, though.
I was going to say it's not showing on the stats yet. So this is the joys of that website. It's until it's all uploaded. But I mean, it's a pretty bowling hit. There's been good batting performances, but it's clearly bowling heavy.
There's a lot of
Scottish cricket on green deck. Green decks, low standard. It's I wasn't sure. I'd played NEC cricket last year. Wasn't sure what actually stepping down to Division 1 would be like, but it's not bad. Like, we've had a few games we've rolled teams over in.
For the occasional one where we've been rolled over as well.
Well, exactly. I think the biggest problem every club at this sort of standard has is we're talking about some of the EPL teams can't get their best 11 out every week.
Yeah.
When you're down to sort of almost social club type teams or second 11s, it's just
it's so variable.
Cost of the coin, what you're going to get. But because I think that's one of the things. We've not had many close games this year. It's been one of the slightly disappointing things. But playing at Largo is always a bonus. I think we touched on that after we played there. That's a spectacular ground to play at, just with the views and everything.
It was baking hot that day. It was absolutely roasting. And there's no showers
was Gildan
either.
Bank like?
Do you know what?
Gildan Bank like?
It was a decent deck. I quite liked it. I actually had loads of fun, despite the fact that I got pelted everywhere. The 2 that we had on the podcast earlier in the year, Jay and Chris, were both in the Glenrothes side. They made it a good laugh. So even though they were pumping us everywhere, so obviously they were having the laugh, not me. But anyway, although Jay clearly takes the test match style to opening the batting, likes a forward defensive, and to score at no pace at all.
Also, the boycott style test, not baseball.
Oh, no. Proper test match cricket, yes. So, and then actually, when he bowled as well, they got spanked a bit too. So I'm hoping he's watching this, and then when we play them again in a few weeks, he can cast this comment up.
I mean, I did see that when you'd looked for Team of the Week nominations on Twitter, I did see that he was quick to point out the guy that scored 160 odd or whatever he scored.
162, yeah. So, yes. That was painful, particularly when he was dropped 3 times in my first 2 overs.
Look, Andrew, we all drop them off you on purpose, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. But I think ultimately Division 1, it's obviously going to get impacted by what is going on in the NEC, who's coming down. We don't know for definite at this point, but there seems to be the suggestions. We were talking to Graham Ferguson earlier in the sort of season, and it looks like the thought is 10 teams next year in the NEC. So I can only see that next year ends up with a 10-team Division 1. I'd have thought, although Division 2 is quite short on teams, so they might split. They might take whatever the collective is and split it in half. But it looks like Perth Ducat are pretty safe in the NEC, so their 2s could win the league again, but they're not going to go up. So you're looking at Largo and Falkland 2s are the ones that are really vying to try and move up the league. As much as I'd like to say we could come back, I think we're out of the running. So
I would agree. Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and it'll be interesting to see. Glenrothes seem to have been a team that have done. They seem to have picked up a lot of bonus points over the year. They
Yeah.
they were lagging with no victories at one point, but they've had, is that like 2 tons in 2 weeks they've had from different guys. That I'd
Yeah.
suggest they've got more victories. So there's still plenty of cricket to play in Division 1. And you never know. And if I win the Bowling Trophy, I'm just having my own episode for that, just to gloat.
Just you with the trophy.
Just sitting, just sort of turning it. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose the one thing that might ease the issue that Div 1 could potentially have is that Stonywood Dice's twos look likely to be one of the teams relegated. I would be very surprised if they play in Div 1. I would expect them to go into the Aberdeen grades if they go down.
I do, but actually that's something I need. I don't know then how you get back into the NEC though if you don't because like Huntly kind of applied to get in, and because of COVID they kind of let them in and things, and so that's the one bit of it I don't fully understand, because it kind of was before. Well, that's how you get into the NEC. That's how you then get up into the EPL. So I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know whether you could end up
think
with a.
I think the SPCU and the Northeast Cricket are the organisation that run the grades, isn't it? I think, to be honest, that the pair of them need to be getting together and establishing that the NEC is almost like how in the East splits off into the SPCU and the Edinburgh. The NEC should probably split off into Div 1 in the grades, and you have a playoff system similar to that to get into the EPL. I think something like that should be brought in.
Or you just have it as you have one from either side.
Yeah, the winners of each one go up.
Just the winner of each or whatever. But as far as I'm aware, currently in the like SPCU league rules, it states that the top 2 teams in Division 1 are eligible to be promoted. And as far as I'm aware, there's nothing that looks at the grades. But yeah, absolutely it should be. Look at Division 1. We're about to look at Division 2. You look at the geography of where these clubs are, and these are cricketers that are not looking to travel from Fife to Aberdeen every few weeks, throughout the season. So that would be the common sense thing. But I guess we will see as time goes on. Shall we have a look at Division 2?
Indeed we will. So St Modens are leading the way in Division 2. And then it's all second and even third teams that make up the rest of the division. So Fruki 2s, Kinloch 2s, Largo 2s, Falkland 3s, and then Glenrothes 2s at the bottom of that league without a victory. And actually, as much as we said, their first 11 have been picking up a lot of bonus points despite losses up to the point where they started winning. Their 2s very much aren't. Unfortunately, 14 bonus points from their 8 games.
Aye, St Modens look pretty strong. You'd probably expect that the only first 11 in the division. Well, although I haven't said, I don't know. I'm looking at the statistics, and I'm not sure if they've had a lot of concessions, to be fair, or they've just not said their stats. I'm not 100% sure which way around it is, because the most games played is 3. So,
right, okay.
So I don't know if they're benefiting from being a first 11 and third 11s going, oh, we don't have enough players. But ultimately, they're up there at the top of the table. And I don't know if it's 2 from this league or. But the one thing I would say is I'm very glad to see there is a Division 2, because for a little while they had a sort of. They basically did what they're doing in the NEC with Division 1. And it was stupid because what we're doing with NEC this year. Because it was like Bredalbin and stuff, and brought their team in from some of the R&D teams kind of moved in,
Yeah.
back into Saturday cricket. And yeah, I just don't really think it worked particularly well. So it's good to see that it's 3 divisions. At the end of the day, not so long ago, it was down to 2 Saturday leagues. So it's excellent to see that the area is able to, and that's probably partly due to the likes of Frookie and Falkland and things having all of their teams now in the SPCU,
Yeah.
whereas they had some split across like ESCA and things as well. So yeah, it's good for the area. At the end of the day, more games on a Saturday, I think, is just to the benefit of everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So I suppose that comes to the end of our roundup of the state of play of where everything is at the moment. This has turned into quite a long episode for what didn't feel like it would be, but yeah.
When it takes us half an hour to get through the results, we'll
I
need to
know.
get faster at that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's time for the predictions.
I predicted right. Oh, we need to get that on. That needs to be like the wee segue. Get that up. Andrew,
Yeah.
that's your job for next episode. Figure that out.
Yeah, that's probably going to cost money.
Not when it's sang in Latvian, it won't. Okay? It'll be fine.
Right, last week's predictions. We each got one. We each got one of them wrong. So we both predicted that Frookie would beat Huntley. We weren't aware or hadn't joined the dots that Safi wouldn't be available for them. And
yeah, that was. I think we were both just being completely dense on that one. I mean, that was obvious, but hey ho.
Indeed, yeah. Well, we missed it. At least we both missed it. Yeah, so we both got that one wrong. And then the other one that we went different on, it really was a flip of the coin, the Forfarshire Gordonians one. You literally, your wife chose on pick a hand, and you went for Forfarshire, and I only chose Gordonians because you chose Forfarshire. So just to be different. So if your wife had chosen the other one, it would be me being very unhappy yet again.
So yeah, but it was a bit of a pumping. So
it was in the end, yeah. So I have pulled a point back for the first time
again. No, you pulled the point back last time.
Oh, did I? Oh, right, cool. I forgot about that because we didn't record an episode last week. So yeah, yeah, I'm on the comeback. I'm only trailing by 6 points now. I'll get there.
With 7 rounds to. Oh no, is it 7 rounds to go? I think.
Yeah, it must be. Or is there a double round in the?
I can't.
In the
there was.
EPL maybe. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm 6 behind, and I've not got much more than 6 opportunities to claw back, but I am gradually clawing it back. So. On to this week's
I'm making you pick the predictions first. I've done it first the last few weeks. I'm just going to start making you do it. I'm just going to tactically eke this out. I'm just going to pick the same as you every week, and then I can't lose.
Oh dear.
I do the graphic. I'm just going to change my predictions to be the same as yours.
Well, we'll have to just work out a way to do them in secret and then reveal them. So we'll do them separately and then reveal. However, we're going to have to do it.
An independent adjudicator.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Make use of our wives to independently adjudicate. Serious business. Anyway, NEC fixtures this year. Wow, it's late at night. NEC fixtures this week. Arbroath host Stonywood Dice. Kinloch host Forfarshire. Perth Ducat against Strathmore, Frookie at home to Aberdeenshire, Dundee High School former pupils against Huntley. And we've both gone Arbroath, Ducat, Aberdeenshire, Huntley. I've gone for Kinloch to win against Forfarshire. It's the Forfarshire one that we've gone different on again, and I've gone against them again.
So Forfs, if you stuff this one up, I'm not happy, boys. So come on, sort it out, lads.
Well, someone who plays for Forfarshire, indeed captains that side, keeps telling me just back the home team. So if he whinges at me picking against Force again, it's because he tells me to back the home team.
The home team that play at someone else's ground, but it's okay.
Yeah, but it is their home team. It is their home ground,
I know.
to be fair. Jokers then, it was my choice to be a Joker, to play the Joker first.
You are a Joker, son.
Indeed. I actually regret my choice on this, but I went for Arbroath.
Oh. No, you didn't.
No, I did. What did I go with? No, I went for Ducat. Oh, my days.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm tired. Anyway, I went for Ducat on the basis that Brits will still be out and they'll win.
I want to see Strathmore post a team up and Tian Brits including, and you're going to be greeting. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, given it was my choice first, I should have gone for Huntley. I don't know why I didn't. But anyway.
Well, guess who my choice is, Andrew?
Yours will be Huntley.
Huntley. Because
yeah,
I'm playing on the logic that I don't back Dundee High School to get any points this year, so I'm pretty much just going to joke out whoever they're playing. I mean, I have to be honest, I do think the Ducat Joker is a little bit of an odd one, even though Strathmore are Brits. I mean, I'd have thought Aberdeenshire would have been the better pick than...
Yeah, I don't know. When I picked it, my brain clearly just wasn't working right. But anyway.
You're clearly coaching up at Ducat or something at the point, and you're like, I'll pick them up.
No, do you know what I genuinely was doing? My son has got his first hardball game tomorrow, and so we were at the cricket pitch in Lunkerty, and I was throwing a hardball at him. He did have pads on; it wasn't just throwing a. But that is genuinely what I was doing as I picked the Jokers. So I blame that.
Yeah, odd Joker pick, but you've done it now, so too late.
Yeah,
so
indeed. Well, that brings us to the end.
Everyone will be pleased to hear.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
Indeed.
We've had longer episodes too. Well, one of the things I did want to, just for anyone that happens to follow the podcast and isn't on Twitter or anything, I'd mentioned the Masterton final that had taken place tonight. So it was staggeringly decided on wickets that fell. It was 100 and Heriot scored 187 for 4 off their 20. And Carlton scored 187 for 7 off their 20.
Oh, wow.
With top scorer Ali Shah being run out on the last ball. And that's how the Masterton decides it. So, yeah, what a finish in the Masterton between Heriots and Carlton. So, just to finish on that note, for anyone who doesn't follow that kind of stuff on Twitter. I know it's an Edinburgh thing, but that sounds like a cracker of a game and a half. So,
very much does. Right, so that brings us to the end. So all the usual stuff. Check us out on Twitter at DibDobPod. If you haven't already, follow us there. Like, share, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, hit the notification, all of that. Hopefully, actually, we're going to have another week off next week, aren't we? Because I'm away next week.
I don't know. I'm thinking about getting a guest on, Andrew, and just pieing you off.
Just monologuing.
Seeing if they're better than you. Well,
I
pretty much do anyway. So I mean,
good luck with the production.
Oh no, I'm coming to your house and I'm taking all your stuff. I mean, you're not going to be in it this time. I'm just coming to your house and robbing everything. So just so you know it.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you again in a couple of weeks' time, and yeah, hopefully we'll have a guest for that one, because we need to get back on the guest train. Start doing that again.
So, sort it out, Andrew. Come on.
I mean, you literally said that was what you were going to do, but hey.
That's awkward, eh?
Indeed.
It's a bit awkward.
Anyway, thank you
right.
for listening.
Well, we'll see what happens.
And
bye, everyone.
See you again in a bit. Bye.